As for the latest on Joe Biden's visit to West Asia, the American president held a joint news conference with the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Bethlehem, which was followed by a joint statement by the two leaders. From the two-state solution to the killers of former journalist Shireen, the two spoke at length about a lot of issues. Starting off with the joint statement, the Palestinian Authority president said that he was taking steps to improve the bilateral relationship and aimed to see the U.S. consulate to Palestinians reopen in Jerusalem, which was shuttered by Donald Trump. Abbas touched upon the state of Palestine and also spoke about the refugee situation. He also put forward his commitment to renouncing violence and fighting terrorism in the country.
ضد أبناء شعبنا وفقا لأخلاق السلام والأمن في منطقتنا.
To peace and security in our region begins with recognizing state of Palestine and enabling the Palestinian people to obtain their legitimate rights in accordance with international legitimacy resolutions and ending all the permanent status issues, including the Palestinian refugees issue.
Among other issues, the two-state solution took center stage, which basically envisions an independent state of Palestine alongside the state of Israel. Biden reiterated his administration's commitment to a two-state solution to end the Israel-Palestine conflict. As for the issue of Israel, Mahmoud Abbas said that if Israel wants to be a compliant state, it cannot be above law. He extended his hand to Israel to a better future for the future generations, provided Israel accepts the 1967 borders and respects the Arab agreements. And those are the latest images that we're getting to you as the American president continues with his West Asia tour. All eyes now on his upcoming meeting with the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Joe Biden, while he has reiterated his stance that he will not be ignoring human rights issues, has received a lot of criticism for the very fact that this is a policy U-turn as far as his visit to Saudi Arabia is concerned. Remember, in the run-up to his presidential campaign and in the run-up to taking office, he had committed to Saudi Arabia being turned into a pariah nation. This was, of course, following the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Let's go straight across now to our correspondent Susan Teherani, who's with us and has been tracking the reactions that have been coming in on the American president's visit to West Asia. Susan, as I was just mentioning, the American president has already received a lot of criticism for the very fact that he decided to visit Saudi Arabia following his commitment to turning Saudi Arabia into a pariah nation. Bring us up to speed with the reactions that have been trickling in, domestically speaking, on his West Asia trip so far.
President Biden is hardly the first president to bring up the issue of human rights in his foreign policy agenda on the campaign trail. The problem with his policy was that he dragged it all the way into the administration and the Oval Office after becoming president, and that's why he's so humbled right now during this trip to Saudi Arabia, and the situation has been so rocky. He's been guilt-tripped, notably by his own party, for meeting with MBS or Prince Mohammed bin Salman on the one hand, and also for going to Saudi Arabia and begging for oil from the Republicans on the other, them saying that, after all, until 2019, America was energy independent and there is plenty of oil here in the United States if President Biden and his administration wouldn't be so idealistic regarding their climate agenda, which they haven't been able to reach so far. So, yes, he's getting a lot of beating up and being battered on the one hand. But on the other hand, the president understands that Saudi Arabia is a longtime ally, as you mentioned, over 70 years. And not only regarding oil ultimately, because it's one of the few countries and allies that it does have oil reserve capacity that the United States can use, but also in terms of security in the Middle East, it's important to have a partnership. And it's also important for this president to go to Saudi Arabia and reassure not only Saudi Arabia, but other GCC member states that it hasn't abandoned their security concerns. Another problem is that this administration is really acting transactional right now with Saudi Arabia. On the one hand, it called it a pariah, talks about the human rights issue, which is important, but it's idealistic, and then, goes to Saudi Arabia right now when it needs them. It's also a time when Saudi Arabia also needs the United States for those defense securities that you mentioned. But I do want to say in the last 4 years, China has levied its influence in Saudi Arabia, defense influence, selling arms in the last 4 years by 400%. So I think in that sense, the United States felt a vacuum and danger as well.
Right, and the American president has reiterated that he will not be avoiding the issue of human rights. Remains to be seen what transpires during his visit to Saudi Arabia. We're leaving it there for the moment, Susan. Thanks very much for bringing us up to speed with the very latest coming in terms of the reactions, domestically speaking, in the United States. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.